I saw a tweet the other day from Matt Miller, and he was talking about how he knows scouts around the league who view Jaxon Smith-Injigba as a borderline first round type of dude. Now, Jaxon Smith-Njigba is maybe the most highly regarded player in college football right now. The last time we saw him, he was putting up 350 yards in the Rose Bowl or something like that. So this is a pretty scorching take, and I wanted to look into it for myself and see if he is actually an overrated guy or if these are just a couple crazies, saying shit. I have full confidence that Jaxon Smith-Njigba is going to go off this season. On the stat sheet, numbers-wise, production-wise, I think that the hype is going to grow and grow and grow to the point where he is viewed as like a lock top 5 pick by the end of this year because he's put up like 2,000 receiving yards or something. But in the pre-draft process, when you've got like the combine and athleticism is really what separates people in that area, I think he could start to get scrutinized and picked apart a little bit because on this play, right, he does a nice job getting in this position to the point where he can break this for a long touchdown, but he doesn't have that kind of long speed. You wouldn't expect your normal top 10 wide receiver to get tracked down by this guy when he's in the open field like that. But Jaxon Smith-Njigba does not quite have that kind of long speed. And during the combine, I think when he runs like a 4.5, maybe like a high 4.5, things could be like, whoa, are we going to draft that kind of speed that high? The other big question mark with him is like, how good is he at just beating great corners off the line of scrimmage? Because he's usually in the slot. Usually there's a lot of zone coverage against Ohio State because it would be stupid to man up on that wide receiving core. And like here he's working across the formation, coming out of the backfield, and like no one's going to press him here. It's zone coverage, gets in that seam in the cover 3, catches it without really having to beat anybody. And when he catches it in this situation, right, some of these really, really highly drafted wide receivers, Jamar Chase, he would be gone if he was in this look. Jalen Waddle, he would be gone if he was in this look. Jaxon Smith-Njigba is not quite gone and actually ends up fumbling because he can't really burn these dudes. When you think of your typical top 5 pick at receiver, AJ Green, Calvin Johnson, Corey Davis, and Jamar Chase, these were all freak athlete, huge wide receiver ones, X receivers who could go against your top cornerback and just thoroughly dominate him on the outside, right? And Jaxon Smith-Njigba doesn't really fit that mold. This is a nice move to make the first guy miss, but like think about what Jamar Chase would do with space like this. All right, Smith-Njigba does not have that kind of juice. So that is why some scouts, I'm sure, feel that he is overrated and not really a game-changing talent. But if you look at Devontae Adams, he was pretty mid at the combine. 2nd-round pick. So was Stephon Diggs. He was a 5th-round pick, and so was Cooper Kupp. He wasn't great at the combine, ran a super slow 40, and even still faces questions on if he can win outside, but that didn't stop him from having the best wide receiver season ever this year. And I'm not saying compare Jaxon Smith-Njigba one-on-one to any of those three, but I do think that he can carve out a high-end career despite not having the high-end athleticism, all right, because he is really technically sound. You look at him in the slot here, making cuts and getting in and out of breaks. He's really snappy with it. First cut creates separation, and then second cut totally leaves this guy in the dust. That was really fast. I think it's better to be quicker than fast. It's great to be both, but we've seen so many players with these blazing 40 times just totally burn out in the NFL, and Smith-Njigba has a lot of quickness, okay? Here he is. This is the same play I showed earlier where he didn't have the long speed to beat Penn State, but everything before that was amazing, all right? This is one of the rare occasions where he has a cornerback, number 5, right in his face, and sure enough, he's able to beat him off man press coverage because he's coached by Brian Hartline, the greatest wide receiver coach in the world. Release is pretty good. Gets number 5 to kind of shift his weight outside. And then here you see the quickness in the burst. Accelerates past him, bats his hand away, threatens vertically. Now this corner is like, uh-oh. He's flipping his hips to try to keep with him upfield. Smith-Njigba just cuts it right backwards, snaps backwards, catches it, and then he hits his signature move. He knows exactly where the cornerback is behind him, and he just pirouettes around defenders. He does this all the time. Catches it while working back to the quarterback and is able to spin around, make a guy miss. And again, here's some quickness and acceleration to get past number 16 as he's coming down. You see how kind of low Smith-Njigba is and just how balanced he is when he cuts, and that burns the angle. He just does not quite have the long speed. The rep of him beating man coverage, this corner is playing with inside leverage, and he is running an out-breaking route, so it's not the hardest thing in the world, but you still like to see him stem that route inside like he's running a drag or something. Corner widens right there, and then he steps, breaks inside, sinks his hips, gets his head around quickly, creates tons of separation, makes the catch. Here's another rep versus man coverage. This one is a little bit harder because once again, he is running an outbreaking route, but this time the corner has outside leverage. So at some point, Smith-Njigba is going to have to cross his face. And he doesn't do this with like the craziest or most creative route stem I've ever seen. He's kind of like, I'm going to run straight through him. Good handwork here. Corner is playing catch technique, it looks like. And when he puts his hands out, Smith-Njigba is able to just swipe them away, continue on with the route without the timing being disrupted. Then when he breaks outside, one thing that I always like that he does is he works back towards the quarterback, which makes it very difficult for any kind of defensive back to undercut him. So he wins that route right there. I think if they needed him to play outside and win outside, he could. The thing is, it's Ohio State, so he doesn't need to. But if you look at what he was doing against man coverage, so that looks like cover 0 against cover 1 and man cover 2, looks like that. He was their most productive receiver. 38 targets, 31 receptions, 456 yards, 201 of those yards coming after the catch. So he was frequently breaking that first tackle against man coverage and turning him into big gains. So yeah, I'm not too worried about him like beating man. So based on what I've seen, I'm not really worried about his ability to beat press or beat man coverage. And then when you look at what he's proven great at, which is exploiting the zones, then things get really special. Here he's running a quick in, a basic, a dig, whatever you want to call it. And CJ Stroud kind of throws this late and over the middle. And we all know what that means. He could get absolutely blasted by that linebacker. But I love the way that he kind of throttles down once he clears this underneath defender, making himself a very friendly target for this quarterback and keeping it out of harm's way of this linebacker. And then when he's going over the middle and about to take a big hit, he's still totally concentrated on the ball. All right, this is a good time to actually make a body catch, because if you're making a catch outside your frame in this scenario, that hit could jar the ball loose. And you see him kind of contort his body, and as soon as he catches that and secures it, he kind of twists and is able to absorb as little contact as possible. And all of a sudden, this doesn't look like a very big hit at all. And that's kind of like, seems like a basic thing, but I feel like a lot of wide receivers don't make that route look that easy. Here's a play from his record-setting Rose Bowl performance. It's a deep over route versus zone. Wide open, doesn't really have to beat anybody, but he is very aware of where the safety is. And as soon as he makes his catch, he plants his foot and readjusts his path, like instantaneously. Really fast reaction time and really good awareness of just what is going on and where everybody is. Now, all of a sudden, that angle that the safety was taking, it's not a good angle anymore. He's able to make that guy fall down, and after a good block from number 4, he's able to beat everybody to the end zone. He showed a lot of great traits in that game, and one of them was his ball tracking ability. And this is something that all Ohio State wide receivers seem to have. Here he is. He is just locked in on that football, watching it, watching it, watching it. Here it comes over his shoulder. He's bending over backwards, and on the sideline makes a fantastic catch, gets a foot down, touchdown. It reminded me a little bit of a catch from another Ohio State wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, during week 1 this year. One of the best catches I've ever seen. But again, you see him watching it, tracking it over his shoulder, bending over backwards, still laser focused. Now, Jaxon Smith-Injigba did not have to do this, and this is what makes this catch so unbelievably special. But it falls in between the hands of Nasir Adderley, and McLaurin has to adjust his body again to come down with it. So it wasn't the same level of difficulty, but I don't know what drills they're doing for this over in Ohio, but everyone should be doing them because they're all great at this. I don't know if he quite has like Garrett Wilson type body control. I think Garrett Wilson has incredible body control, but it's still pretty good. All right, on this play, he's running a drag. This pass is going to be slightly behind him. He jumps up, makes that catch outside of his frame and behind him, spins around in the air, and then he's able to just plant his feet and keep going like nothing happened. Number 4 tries to tackle him high, and he keeps his balance, spins out of that, and he's able to pick up the first down. That kind of body control, balance, shiftiness, it helps you in all aspects of playing receiver. Watch this sick juke versus Nevada, totally shakes that guy, and a great block by Chris Olave off screen to make sure that he can break this all the way to the end zone. And the other place where his IQ and his nuance shows up is in scramble drills. Like on this play, once again, running across the field. And as soon as he clears that last linebacker, he knows if he hasn't gotten the ball yet, this is full scramble drill mode. So as soon as he clears that, he makes the beeline right back to Fields, who is indeed scrambling that way. And he has made himself presentable, made himself a target past his sticks, and catches it for the first down. And because he is in the slot so much, he is asked to block a lot, and he's pretty good at it, all right? On this play, line up in the slot as always. He is responsible for this nickel player. Line does a good job, and then he does a good job creating push on that guy, knocking him out of the play, and then recovering from that hit, and he's able to get a piece of number 1, 2, and spring the running back for the touchdown. And look at just how excited he is that he was able to do that and spring that. He is pumped. Love to see that. I do think like dialogue about Jaxon Smith-Injigba being overrated is good to have, because some people think that he is like the greatest wide receiver prospect that we've seen in years and years and years and years. And I don't think I quite agree with that, but he is really good. And I think saying like he's a potential second rounder is crazy, because if I were to rank the Ohio State wide receivers as prospects from last year, so Wilson, JSN, and Olave, I think I would still have Wilson number 1, because I'm really excited about what he could be, and I think he really can be that dominant ball winner X receiver. I mean, that's a guy whose body control is crazy, his hands are crazy, and he ran like a 4.37, really shifty route runner. I'm super high on him, but I would take JSN over Olave. I think that he offers a little bit more as a volume guy. He offers a little bit more in terms of what he can do with the ball in his hands, and yeah, I think I would rank him over Olave by a little bit. And the Saints just traded up for Olave in the first half of the draft, so if the Saints are doing that for Olave, like JSN is worth at least the same pick to me. So I think that he's a first round lock. I think that he might be a top half of the first round lock after he has another monster season. I think that some of these guys who are like, oh, he's not athletic enough, there might be a few out there, but I think that they're going to be kind of outside voices. And yeah, I would say believe the hype when it comes to JSN, but do understand that he's not like the flawless prospect, at least right now. Maybe he develops into that. Who knows? A lot can change. We'll check up on this next year after this season. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. That's the video. Let me know who you would like to see in the comments below, and I will see you next week.